Jewish personalities of yesteryear. We're going into Chazanut territory over here. I want to speak about Rabbi Abraham Lopes Cardozo. I think he was born, not too sure the exact date, he was born in English in 1914. He passed away, to be precise, it was February the 21st in the year 2006. We're talking about just over 19 years ago. He's famous for being the Chazan of the congregation She'erit Yisrael. This is a historic Spanish-Portuguese synagogue based in New York. So I thought we'll say over a few words, because we've spoken about the synagogue on various occasions on this series. So he was actually born in Netherlands, in Amsterdam. He was great-grandson of the chief rabbi of the Sephardic community in Amsterdam, remember. And he was the son of another person, Joseph Lopes Cardozo, who happened to have been a famous musician, and he was the leader of the boys' choir of the Spanish-Portuguese synagogue over there at that point in time. So it's interesting, he was only 7 years of age, Rabbi Abraham was, when he would read his first Haftorah. This was, I think that was actually in the same synagogue in of itself, respectively. And so he would go on to attend the famous Etz Chaim seminary in Amsterdam and became active in youth work, and he was teaching also very much so. That's stage in time, so he was already hands-on at a young age. Come with the year 1939, he would be at that stage in time in his early mid-20s, let's just say. He was appointed by Queen, I think, Wilhelmina, I hope I pronounced the name, to be, I think, the rabbi of the Sephardic community in Suriname. That's where he would actually meet his wife, Rabbanit Irma, would be. He would go on to become the assistant Chazan at the She'erit Yisrael synagogue in 1946. At that stage in time, he was about 31, 32 years of age. And later he would become the Chazan and continue there for a staggering, I think, around 50 years, if I'm not mistaken, until 1986. 40 or 50 years. In addition, he was a faculty member of the Yeshiva University Sephardic Studies program, where he would go on to teach Sephardic Chazanut over there, which was very integral and bring a lot of, let's just say, Jewish and music to university in itself. Yeshiva University, we've actually been inside in this channel. We visited the Grus Kollel, and that is very much connected to the rabbinic faculty of Yeshiva University. We've actually filmed with a few rabbis that are currently heading Yeshiva University also, which is very interesting. And he would teach Sephardic Chazanut there. I think it was on June the 7th in the year 2000, he was invested as a Knight of the Order of Orange Nassau by Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands. It was. Now, he passed away, I think, on February the 21st in the year 2006. It happened to have been, which we stated before. And so just to clarify, I believe he was a cantor for between 1946 and 1984. And after, when he retired from there, he would become the cantor emeritus. So his position really continued the whole time. I think the congregation currently is featured in Central Park West, I think 70th Street. Obviously, it was founded back in the year 1654. At that point in time, in Lower Manhattan, by the first Jewish settlers in North America. So it's actually, I think, Reb Cardozo was born, as we said before, in Amsterdam in 1914, and the family itself was very rabbinic. I think they would trace themselves back from the Iberian Peninsula back in the 15th century, and I think when the Jews were expelled, let's just say, I think from Spain. His great-grandfather, as I said before, was a Sephardic chief rabbi of Amsterdam, and the father was the lead. Yeah, we said the father was the lead boys' choir also. We're going to say more within regards to him, but he would actually release, I think, a disc of various different important songs, religious songs, synagogue songs, respectively. And I think it was titled, if I'm not mistaken, The Western Sephardic Literal Tradition. So obviously it was sang by Abraham Lopes Cardozo. Obviously, this is, I think, a Portuguese Jewish community of Amsterdam. It was. He would have a CD with recordings which would span over 50 years, if I'm not mistaken, and various samples of songs of Shabbat, festivals for Brit Milah, and weddings also. And I'll just list the songs over here while we're doing this video. Here he would perform Lecha Dodi, that's a song, Hashkivenu, Yom Hashi, obviously pertaining to Shabbat, Sumi Shelo Ochanu, Kol Buro Ma'aleh Umal, Kamti La'alel L'Shem Ha'el Hanichbad, then Yigdal Elokim Chai. This is another very popular call. Im Tashiv, the Kiddush Shel Shabbat. Another one was Halilya, Halinafshi, Nishmat Kol Chai. There will be the Az Yashim Moshe, obviously this from coming from Parshat Shalach. Naturally, there will be Yitgadal B'Yitgadash, Nakdishav Nartzecha, Yavrecha. Many songs over here in this. Let's just say, this CD would contain, I think, as many as 39, if I'm not mistaken. Finish off with Sheva Brachot, respectively. So that is something we have to point out also within regards to that. Now, let's explore a bit more within regards to the cantor's life also. Obviously, he would spend 40 years over there inside the king, and was brought, I think it's very interesting, I think he was embodiment, let's just say, of the Western Sephardic liturgical tradition that was brought to North America from Amsterdam, I think, obviously via Recife, Montreal, and the Caribbean, among other places. He was the spiritual and music teacher, if I'm not mistaken, of the present rabbi of the Mikveh Yisrael, Reb Albert Gabbai, bringing some of the rich influences, say, to Philadelphia over there. Now, it's interesting, Rabbi Gabbai, who was a part of the Mikveh Yisrael synagogue, would invite Reb Cardozo to come to Philadelphia for high holidays and other occasions after his retirement. So he would be very much part, let's just say, of the Chazanut faculty of Mikveh Yisrael synagogue. Also, I think it's based in Philadelphia, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And so I think the exact date he was born, because at the beginning I said it was in 1914, I think it was actually September the 27th. And we spoke about his father already, how his father was, let's say, the leader of the Spanish-Portuguese Jewish community over there. His father was, I believe. And look, there was various different integral roles at that point in time, which we pointed out at the beginning. His father was the boys' choir, and let's explore a bit more within regards to his life over here, as we will just explore more. Okay, friends, just if anyone's tuning in, just there's been a small technical issue. Please subscribe to the channel, anyone that is watching now, and I would really appreciate it. And we're really growing as a channel. Okay, so as I said before, he was born over there, and he was a violinist, I think, also, if I'm not mistaken. He was, I think he had two brothers also that will form a band, let's just say, within regards to Jewish music, and I think the family itself could play keyboards, string, reed, brass instruments, and he would grow up immersed in music of all kinds. He had a natural talent when it came to music. He played piano even when he was a young kid. He would receive his degree, I think he was only 18 years of age, he would receive his degree, and would very much be part of the faculty of the Etz Chaim synagogue, which we spoke about before. He would become a Hebrew teacher at Etz Chaim synagogue. I think a few years later, in 1938, he answered an advertisement at that point in time for a chazan who needed a congregation in Suriname, Tzedek V'Shalom, I think it was called. And it was actually, I think, his future father-in-law, Judah Robles, so he would marry his daughter, who was, I think, the parnas of the synagogue at the time. And I think he was chosen because of his credentials. And I think the Dutch government will pay for his salary and provide living conditions, which was appropriate for a man at that point in time. Remember, he came into the congregation in this area. So that I think he wasn't married yet at that point in time. He actually, I think, arrived over there on September the 9th, 1939. And I think, sadly, this would actually, thankfully, it would save his life at this point, because I think, sadly, much of his family, if I'm not mistaken, Holland, perished during the Holocaust. Throughout his life, he would do kinot, or he would be devastation, especially remembering on Tisha B'Av what actually took place over there. It was a Nahala, I think, the anniversary for all his relatives that were murdered, as obviously Tisha B'Av is a national day of mourning, which I think we all know that over here. So more can be said within regards to him. He was, I think in 1945, he took a 6-month leave, let's just say, of absence from his job as a chazan in Suriname, and headed then to New York. And I think at that point in time, the Suriname community itself was declining, obviously because of the Second World War, and he wanted to expand his horizons. New York City would provide, let's say, the perfect, vibrant Jewish community for him to spread his wings. Now, Cardozo would find himself to the Spanish-Portuguese synagogue and Sheretz Yisrael. there as a visiting Chazan of a sister synagogue over there, and he was invited to lead the services. This led to an offer to join the congregational staff as assistant Chazan at that point in time, which he would accept. After he returned to Suriname to give notice, at that point in time, obviously, Mr. Robles was obviously he has to fill a big void because he did such a great job. And he would, I think, embark on his tenure on January the 1st in 1946 in the Shearit Yisrael synagogue, respectively. So it would be another thing. So this job itself will bring big opportunities. It's reported over that immediately on starting as Khan, I think Rav Cardozo would be able to reunite with the daughter of his former Parnas in Suriname, Miriam Robles, who was working, I think, in New York at that point in time and attending, let's say, Shearit Yisrael regularly. They shared many of the same friends and grew up close over the next few years. I think come on December 1950, they became engaged and they had a beautiful wedding that's reported over on March 11th, 1951, which was actually officiated by another rabbi we've spoken about on this series, Rev. Dr. David de Solapol. He was, I think, the rabbi of the Shearit Yisrael, if I'm not mistaken. And I think Rev. Dr. Louis Gerstein was an assistant one, and also Rev. David Yeshurin Cardozo was the rabbi of the sister congregation, Mikveh Yisrael in Philadelphia. Let's just say, it's just stated over here, I'm just using an article from the Mikveh Yisrael history website over here with regards to information of this. Let's just say the first piece of furniture they acquired for the new home obviously was a piano. It's reported over a Baldwin, a Crosonic upright. The Cardozos had two daughters. I think their names was Debbie and Judy. They were born in 1952 and 1955. I'm not sure any more information on them. Maybe if anyone knows, I'd really appreciate it. Rav Cardozo was devoted, let's say, to and strictly upheld the Spanish and Portuguese minhag, and he appreciated also other traditions and other songs and stuff like that. He was a living bridge between the old world, represented by Amsterdam's Sephardic community, which was made up of descendants, let's say, of refugees from the Inquisition in Spain and Portugal, and a new world in the first congregation in America. As the Amsterdam community was being decimated by the Nazis, Rav Cardozo escaped in time and continued the traditions in the new world, let's just say, in of itself. Now, I think Rob Mark Angel, a long-time friend, a long-time rabbi, I think, of Shearit Yisrael, he was speaking at his funeral back in the year 2006. He said that Rav Cardozo was an ember that survived the ashes of the Holocaust. That's what's reported over in the article. He had his passion life, obviously, was Hazanot, and there was nothing he enjoyed more than leading a congregation in prayer, using the tunes he knew and loved so well. I think it's reported over in this article. He obviously, one of the main things was he'd have to strictly maintain the Shearit Yisrael minhag. So he was, I think, this would actually stop him from introducing some of the other Spanish and Portuguese melodies from other mother synagogues in his native Amsterdam that he so eagerly wanted to keep alive. So that would be, obviously, he had his instructions, what he's got to keep in the synagogue he's working in. So that would stop him, let's just say, broadening horizons in that place. He was not given the title of a minister of the congregation until late in life. He performed weddings, I believe, funerals, and gave eloquent eulogies, it's reported over. And more can be said within regards to him. I think after he retired, he wrote 2 books, each with an accompanying CD of music. The first was Sephardic Songs of Praise, followed a couple of years later by selected Sephardic chants. It was called. Many of his friends collaborated to present a petition, I think, to Queen Beatrix of Netherlands, nominating Rabbi Cardozo for the title of Knight in the Order of Orange Nassau for service during World War II. He's preserving the traditions and minhag as practiced for hundreds of years in Amsterdam, and his loyal and proud representation of the Dutch Jewish heritage. He was officially knighted in the year 2000, so that was another accolade of him. Come what March 2005, I think he fell down and broke his hip, and unfortunately I don't think he ever recovered, and he passed away, I think, sadly, on February 21st 2006. I think it's reported over that was the 23rd of Shvat, year 5766. He was 92 years of age at the time. Now hundreds of people came to the synagogue to attend his funeral and pay their respects to this great and humble man and the leader of the community for 60 years. Eulogies were given by dozens of leaders, rabbis, colleagues, close friends and family. I think Rabbi Angel would lead a hakafot. At that point in time, they did a hakafot around the coffin in a very moving ceremony, after which coffin was draped with his talit straight afterwards. I think the author of this article will actually share a story. I'm not too sure who it was, the author himself, but he states that he used to lead the Friday night Shabbat service at Mikveh Israel, and I think Rav Cardozo was visiting for Shabbat, obviously through the invitation of Rabbi Gabbai. He led the Friday night service at a faster speed, and after the service, the author was wishing a Shabbat Shalom, and remarked about the speed which he read the service. He replied with a twinkle of eye, "They don't call me the Flying Dutchman for nothing." So apparently he wasn't very slow in the service, let's just say, from that thing. Maybe he had a nickname Flying Dutchman. I don't know much information about that. Obviously, I'm sure when he's giving the songs over and everything else, he would have been doing it with full kavanah. But I'm just using a few articles based on this, using Wikipedia and the Mikveh Israel website over here, and wishing you all well. So please, everyone, at the moment, if you can subscribe, I will really appreciate it. And any fantastic feedback, that will always be appreciated. Also, as we are growing as a community, we are nearly on a staggering 7,000 subscribers, which I don't think we would have ever anticipated from the start of this moment. So that's always fantastic and great news. Please, everyone, subscribe to the channel. If you feel anyone's interested in watching any of these videos, please share these videos also to other people. And we did a special edition not so long ago on the history of the Jewish community of the Netherlands. So I recommend everyone to look at the channel and watch that video. Enjoy, very informative it was. I was using a very productive article for that one. Also, we recorded various videos of other great rabbis that happened to have hailed, let's just say, and come from the Netherlands all throughout Jewish history. So that note, wishing you well and Shavua Tov. And please, everyone, subscribe. And please, if anyone descends from any of the great rabbis we're speaking about, please send me an email. I would love to hear more information. Thank you very much and have a great day.